USS Gerald R. a $13 billion warship, one of the most expensive machines humanity has ever built. It carries a floating city within its steel walls, nearly 5,000 people, complete with its own hospital, fire department, post office, and even a jail. Yet, despite having all that, this ship never sleeps. Sailors work without weekends or Sundays, 120 straight days at sea. They rest in coffin-sized bunks, breathe recycled air, and survive on barely 4 hours of sleep between 14-hour shifts. Behind the polished steel and patriotic slogans, NCIS investigators quietly probe assaults and suicides, while young sailors break down under the weight of exhaustion, endless noise, and isolation. And it's in these conditions that the question emerges: how do 5,000 men and women survive long enough to tell the story of life trapped inside the most expensive marvel of human engineering, the floating city? If you ever get a chance to step aboard an aircraft carrier, the first thing that hits you is just how massive it is. We're talking over 1,092 feet long, about the same height as the Empire State Building if you laid it down flat. Inside, there are nearly 25 decks, a maze of compartments, and around 5,000 crew members, all working together in what can be described as perfect, or at least organized, chaos. They often refer to the carrier as a floating city, and that's not just a catchy phrase. It boasts its own hospital, fire department, mail system, barbershops, and even a jail. That's right, if you step out of line at sea, you could find yourself locked up right on the ship you call home. It's like being grounded, but, well, literally. The ship runs on 2 nuclear reactors that can keep going for over 20 years without needing a pit stop for fuel. So when it sets sail, it can stay out there for months, with the only real limits being food and sanity. But the bigger question isn't how the ship keeps working. It's how the crew manages to cope. Sleeping in a steel maze. Living on a carrier means giving up on personal space. A sailor's sleeping area, known as a berthing, looks like a series of metal coffins stacked 3 high. Each bunk is barely 6.5 feet long and 2 feet wide. Just enough room to lie down, keep a few pictures, and maybe ponder life's choices. The noise is relentless too. You've got the constant hum of machinery, boots thumping around, and sometimes the distant roar of jet engines from the flight deck. Veteran sailors joke that after a few weeks, you get used to the noise. In other words, you just stop trying to block it out. Still, sailors know how to adapt. Earplugs, sleep masks, and a lot of caffeine become their survival kits. Sleep comes in short bursts, maybe 4 to 6 hours if they're lucky, squeezed in between shifts and drills. The ship runs around the clock, so there's always someone working, eating, or launching something off the deck. One sailor remarked, "You don't really wake up on a carrier, you just start your next shift." And honestly, that's pretty spot on. Feeding 5,000 people. Now take a moment to imagine feeding 5,000 hungry folks 3 times a day, all while floating in the middle of the ocean. That's the job of the ship's culinary specialists. They manage 5 galleys across the ship, serving up to 14,000 meals each day. Breakfast kicks off before dawn with trays of eggs, hash browns, and pancakes coming out like clockwork. By lunchtime, it's burgers, pasta, and something that might look like salad. Emphasis on might. Dinner could feature chicken, steak, or a mystery meat special. Sailors swear it's better not to ask too many questions about it. The ship's pantries are stocked like a grocery store. Thousands of pounds of meat, milk, flour, and especially coffee. Carriers run on caffeine. One officer joked, "If we ever run out of jet fuel, we might as well power the ship with coffee alone." Supplies come in via replenishment ships that pull alongside the carrier at sea, a process called unrep, or underway replenishment. It's like grocery shopping while cruising at 20 knots through waves that are as big as buses. Miss your timing, and you might find yourself chasing loaves of bread across the ocean. The crew also rotates through kitchen duty, washing trays, cleaning floors, and making sure those 14,000 meals go out without poisoning anyone. It might not be glamorous work, but as any sailor will tell you, a hungry ship makes for a cranky ship. The chain of command. An aircraft carrier isn't just huge, it also runs on a strict hierarchy. Every action, from launching a jet to scrubbing a hallway, follows a well-defined chain of command that could make a conductor envious. At the top is the commanding officer, the ship's mayor, CEO, and king all rolled into one. Then comes the executive officer, ensuring everything runs smoothly, followed by department heads, division officers, and chiefs. Beneath them are sailors of every rank and role. from mechanics and cooks to nuclear engineers and pilots. Everyone knows their spot and what they need to do, because on a ship this complex, one slip-up can lead to chaos. Even downtime is organized. You'll find a gym, a chapel, a few lounges, and sometimes movie nights. Forget about Wi-Fi. The connection is often slower than a snail on vacation. One sailor put it best: "The Wi-Fi's so bad you start talking to people again." But that sense of order is what keeps everything from falling apart. A carrier operates like a finely tuned machine, but its parts are all human, and that human aspect is what makes the next part so intriguing and challenging: mental toughness. Let's be real, being trapped on a ship for 120 days can really mess with your head. You wake up, see the same faces, eat the same food, and do the same tasks day after day after day. There's no escape. The ocean stretches on forever, and home starts to feel like a distant memory. To keep spirits high, sailors get creative. Some form workout groups, while others dive into video games, reading, or writing letters. A few even hold music nights, using whatever instruments they can scrounge: guitars, drums, or even just empty coffee cans. Humor becomes a critical survival tool. Inside jokes spread faster than gossip in a small town. You might hear someone quip, "We're not stuck at sea, the land is just lost." And everyone laughs, partly because it's funny, and partly because it hits too close to home. The Navy does have mental health counselors and chaplains on board, but a lot of emotional survival comes from camaraderie. Everyone around you is battling the same waves, and when one sailor struggles, the rest rally to lift them up. It's not just about duty, it's about family. Emergencies and drills. Every few days, the calm is shattered by a klaxon. General quarters, general quarters. It's just a drill, but everyone treats it like the real deal. Fire is the ship's biggest enemy in a place made of steel and fuel, so sailors practice putting them out in full gear, wielding hoses and oxygen tanks. Every compartment can be sealed off in mere seconds to keep flames or flooding from spreading. They also run man-overboard drills, tossing life rings, timing recovery teams, and scanning radars for simulated victims. Medical teams even practice mass casualty scenarios, treating fake wounds made with unsettlingly realistic makeup. These drills might seem tedious, but they're crucial for survival. When you're 500 miles out to sea, you can't exactly call 911. You are the 911. Communication, isolation, and morale. Here's something that often goes unnoticed. On a carrier, you can go weeks without cell service. There is internet, but it's agonizingly slow. Streaming, scrolling, or FaceTiming just isn't happening. This is where isolation really sets in. Thousands of people surround you, yet you still yearn for home, your family, your routines, and even the scent of rain on land. To cope, sailors forge their own small communities. There are karaoke nights, movie screenings, and gym competitions. Some write in journals, or play cards, or just sit on the hangar bay floor, gazing at the sea through an open door. The Navy calls this maintaining morale. The sailors just call it staying human. Humor helps a lot. You'll hear jokes like, "Why do we love the ocean? Because it's salty, just like us." Or 120 days at sea builds character, or ruins it, depending on who you ask. These little moments, shared laughs, sarcastic quips, and a quick nap weave together to keep everyone sane. The technology that never sleeps. Even while sailors catch some shut-eye, the ship keeps on buzzing. Its twin A1B nuclear reactors quietly power everything from lights and elevators to the massive desalination system that turns seawater into drinkable water. In one day alone, the ship churns out 400,000 gallons of fresh water and enough electricity to run a small city. The operations rooms are alive day and night, with radar screens glowing, calm voices giving commands, and everything running smoothly. Outside, the ship's radar domes keep watch for aircraft and vessels located hundreds of miles away. Even though it feels like you're in the middle of nowhere, the Gerald R. Ford is always connected to a bigger network, talking to other ships, submarines, and satellites. Every decision is logged, anomalies are noted, and every person is accounted for. It's order rising from chaos, and it works because of trust. The human clock. After months at sea, your perception of time begins to blur. Morning or midnight, it all feels the same beneath the harsh fluorescent lights and the constant machinery hum. Days blend into one another like waves on the horizon. Sailors start to measure time differently, not by calendars or clocks, but by meal rhythms, shift patterns, or the arrival of the next supply ship. Even something as simple as sunrise loses its meaning when the horizon is just endless blue, interrupted only by fleeting jets or gulls. Some say deployment is like Groundhog Day with saltwater. You wake up, eat, work, repeat, endlessly. Yet within that repetition lies a strange, steady rhythm, a heartbeat mirroring the pulse of the ship. Tasks that might seem mundane, tightening a bolt, checking a gauge, cleaning a deck, are actually vital threads in a complex web that keeps 5,000 people alive, fed, and mission-ready. Fatigue becomes a constant companion, creeping into both bones and minds. But sailors find ways to battle it. A quick cup of coffee shared with a fellow crew member, a quiet joke in the galley, a nod to someone on the flight deck. These small gestures keep reminding them that even in monotony, connection exists. Every shift, every maintenance check, every launch is part of a larger mission, and that sense of purpose fuels their resilience. One sailor once remarked, "You don't serve the ship just because you love the job. You do it because you don't want to let the person next to you down." That sentiment really captures life on a carrier. Survival isn't just about the food, the steel walls, or the mechanical precision. It's about the people. It's about trust, teamwork, and shared responsibility. It's about realizing that in a floating city at sea, each person's effort supports everyone else and keeps the entire mission on track. The human clock doesn't measure hours, it measures dedication, perseverance, and the quiet strength of a crew united by shared experiences. It's within this relentless rhythm that sailors discover their purpose and, ultimately, their resilience, returning to land. When deployment finally wraps up, coming back to port feels almost surreal. After weeks of being at sea, spotting land on the horizon hits like a waking dream. Families wait with banners, music blares from the pier, and phones light up like fireworks, capturing every embrace and smile. The cheers are loud, heartfelt, and overwhelming, so different from the constant hum of machinery they've been hearing for months. But under the celebration, there's a deep-seated exhaustion that runs through them. Every sailor carries the weight of 120 days packed with relentless schedules, endless drills, and countless nights spent in narrow bunks while the ship pitched and rolled beneath them. Yet alongside that fatigue, there's immense pride. Pride in their work, their durability, and the unbreakable bond they forged with one another. For 4 months, they lived without neighborhoods to stroll, trees to provide shade, or even the simple privacy of home. Every moment and action was shared alongside thousands of others, in a place that was part city, part machine, and part floating fortress. They functioned as one mind, one heartbeat, one purpose. Every decision carried weight, every step had consequences, and each sailor became a vital link in a living, breathing organism traversing the ocean. Stepping onto land again feels almost foreign. The stillness is shocking, the city noise jarring, and the sheer amount of space both beautiful and confounding. Every sensory detail hits differently. The smell of grass, the feel of concrete underfoot, and the warmth of sunlight without glare from metal surfaces. Even the rhythm of life on solid ground seems odd after the carrier's rigid routines. Yet there's a quiet satisfaction settling in, knowing they've earned this calm, this ordinary world filled with streets, trees, and peaceful nights. The ocean may be vast, but their willpower, discipline, and courage have proven just as boundless. Returning to land is more than a physical step. It's a celebration of human endurance, a nod to the strength and determination it takes to live, work, and thrive on a floating city that sails through the heart of the sea. Even as they reconnect with family and friends and get back to the comforts of life on land, the memories of the ship linger, the camaraderie, the shared struggles, the moments of laughter, fear, and victory. Those 120 days become a part of their identity, a silent testament to the resilience of the human spirit when faced with isolation, challenges, and the immense forces of nature. 120 days of discipline and humanity. After weeks at sea, time starts to feel like a blur. The calendar becomes meaningless, as every day on the ocean looks the same. But the crew still shows up, because discipline is what holds them together. Each sailor wakes up, works, eats, sleeps, and then does it all over again. Some count down the days until they hit shore, others stop counting altogether. Yet within that monotony, bonds form. Strangers at first turn into brothers and sisters by the end of the deployment. They share stories, jokes, music, and sometimes just silence, an unspoken language that only sailors truly understand. There's an old saying in the Navy, the ship doesn't toughen you up, it shows you if you're tough already. By the time those 120 days come to a close, the crew isn't just surviving. They've become part of something greater, a living, breathing system of human resilience.